Hello and welcome to the ripple effect of love for dads and families. Episode 64. What did joy teach you today? Hello, I'm Christine Bernard, stress management coach, and much more. And I'm excited to have you here because today I want to share a little bit more about grief. We've been talking about that. About grief. We had a special guest, Tony Lynch, on who went through quite the life lessons, and life is full of lessons. How we deal with them will make a difference on what it is that we want to do and how we can help ourselves through the journey. Until you are ready and willing to get support, there's nothing much the rest of us can do, right? It has to come from you. You need to have that inner motivation, that drive to bring about a change. And if you're ready to leave a legacy of love, then you're in the right place. So, I have a special guest here today. I believe he's ready. Christian, can you wave if you're ready? Not quite yet. I'll wait till he waves. So, in the meantime, here we go. So, when you release the grief, you can make space for joy, and something inside of you will shift, and you will not feel guilty anymore because you're feeling joy. Maybe in the beginning you will. Sometimes we lose people who are dear to our hearts, but unfortunately, they are there's this guilt, this shame, this regret. There are so many different emotions that come up. The most important is to give yourself lots of grace and to know that whatever you're feeling is what you need to feel in this moment. Everybody is different. We are all different individuals. So let's take a deep breath in, relax the shoulders, and exhale, letting it go. Yeah. Sometimes we need to pause, even if it's for 10 seconds, to just ground ourselves so that we can be present in that moment. Being present isn't always easy. However, we just keep doing our best, don't we? And that's what it's all about. So, today, I don't know if Christian is ready. Let's see here if he's ready to join in. Yes, he is. Okay, great. So, welcome, Christian. We can't see you somehow. We can only see your beautiful marketing for all in the back. How are you today? Oh, and we can't hear
Great.
you.
Thank
Oh, there
you.
you
I
go.
can
There you
hear
go.
me now.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I am in and out and all and in and out and out and in. Um, living my best life, enjoying the superhero powers of self-regulation. You know, we talked about We've talked about listening to understand. We're so disconnected. So I'm going to play the telephone game, or we're going to remind folks today of the telephone game.
Okay.
The telephone game is also in our bodies because our heart is communicating a specific message. But then our tummies might be connecting or maybe conveying a somewhat message that sounds like it might be. And then it goes to our brain, right? So then they communicate to our brain, and then our brain is going like, hey, There's something that's going on. But in the telephone game, as we've talked about this and wonderful things about simplifying these systems, which is the ABCs
Yes.
of love or ABCs of any language, we want to remind ourselves that in the telephone game, we get things communicated, but it breaks down, and it's not what you start out. I'm sorry, what ends up message is not the message that is started out. And especially, I know this was going to bring a smile to Christine, especially when you do it with those little kiddos and you give them something goofy to say, and then the giggles and all of that
You
comes
know,
out, the
Kristen,
playfulness.
it doesn't even need to be goofy. I think once in the hundreds of times I've done the telephone with students from all ages, did it get to the end with the right message.
And so let's clearly see that is the most opportunistic example when we're being communicated something, but we have barriers or people or whatever it is in between communicating
Yes.
from one end of to another, right? Or from different people. My point is this: your brain and your heart are trying to communicate to you. And if we have a harder time understanding, and we know that, okay, with those littles, they have that energy and they have that spirit and they have that, not mischievous, but the intrigue, the curiosity. Remember, these are littles, but the same thing with our human brains as we evolve, that we have that. So if we're able to say to anyone a clear message, and
Yes.
the person that is being that is listening, instead of being so goofy and caught up in what there's somebody saying, and when you're little somebody's close to your ear, or I'm going to bring up some things, sensory issues, or people or kiddos that
Mhm.
are experiencing or have experienced bit of adaptability conditions. They may dislike certain things or certain words or certain ideas. So they may not even want to get close. And it's not because they dislike anything or what is being said or the person,
Yeah.
but they simply are uncomfortable. Oh, cut it out. Oh, stop acting. Wait a minute.
Yeah, wait a
Why?
minute. Wait a huge minute. Wait
Yeah,
a
yeah.
huge minute. Yes. Some people need a big bubble. And some people are unable to respect that bubble. And they're in your face. They're like talking to you like this. Exactly. Yeah.
And those are and now you say, well, that's just who they are. Yes, granted.
Hmm.
However, if, and we've talked about this, we encourage everyone to be everything and anything that you want to be, especially when it comes from that center of love. And we understand that if we are doing something out of love or out of kindness, if you're not there at the love yet, out of kindness, out of just mindfulness,
Hmm.
and it's making somebody uncomfortable, I get that's who you are. And I'm saying, I, as a protector, as a man, I need to defend.
Hmm.
I am also a human, and I know that I have different needs at different times. So I say yes. But me being a protector does not need to make somebody uncomfortable, unless that's who I'm protecting whatever it is from, right?
Right.
If it's directed at some, and again, it's not to offend, but it is for me to defend, to protect, for me to
Yeah.
uh, voice inflection
Yeah.
without needing to be physical, because I understand that the solutions aren't found in that physical interaction. They are found in a communication, a clear communication of ideas, an understood perception of ideas communicated, and being able to grasp different perspectives, acknowledgement, and agree to disagree, or agree that there's 2 points to a, or that there's a mutual understanding that, hey,
Yeah.
because I am this way, I made you feel a certain way. I'm not going to apologize for who I am. However, I do apologize for hurting your feelings because your feelings matter and
Yeah.
what you're going through and what that triggered. However, I'm not a professional, so I'm going to point you to folks. Oh, this is why I don't like my arrows are mixed up because of my
So
mirror screen. But go to the professionals
yeah.
because they can help you with that adjustment, with that alignment, with those key points.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready, I get it,
It's okay.
but
Hmm.
at least start and practice taking the time for yourself. And the big reason I say this is because if you're able to listen to yourself
Hmm.
and not judge yourself when that thought process comes in and all of a sudden we're thinking about football or sports or work or eating, it's okay. And you allow yourself to understand that that's okay. Then you regroup and then continue and practice again.
Yeah.
Practice does not make perfect. Practice just makes you get better at whatever action you are practicing. And I say this to any and all: sloppy practice, sloppy play. So I put my all into what I do in the moment. And
Mm.
going back to the telephone game, is if
Yes.
we can't begin to understand ourselves and
Hmm.
what our body, and to take control from the hijacking of our brains, what that looks like:
Yeah.
an email, a phone call,
Yeah.
a TV show, not just a news article, not just your boss, not just your kids, not just your partner, but different things that can make certain thoughts. And you're going, now this is more important. Well, you're not saying it, but you are acting it.
Yeah.
And so we talked about it this morning. How are we so close to our kids when we live within our households with them? We sit
Mhm.
down and eat some meals with them. We communicate with them. Yet, for some parents facing this right now, reality is there's so much disconnect.
Mhm.
And because of the disconnect,
Mhm.
they feel, as parents, we feel like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I don't know where to start. I
Mhm.
don't know what's going on.
Mhm.
And so and yes, we want to respect our kids and allow them to make choices and decisions. But if there's a breakdown in communication, allowing them time, yes, but coming around to that understanding. And then when we approach them, we say, "Well, what's wrong with you? Why are you such a bad attitude?"
Yeah.
I'll let Christine correct that statement, but I would say is, and I've stopped saying, "Hey, what's wrong? Hey, what's going on? Hey,
Ah,
what you
yeah.
up to?"
Yeah. How do you feel? Right? How do you feel is another great one you can add in there, Christian. Yeah, those are all beautiful examples. And I love that you brought up the telephone today because, when we do that go around, um, we're five kids in my family and we're taking care of my parents. And, communication does cross wires. And it's like, but the fact, and it causes grief, for some of the members, right? Because, oh, you said you'd do that, you didn't do it, blah, 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 all that. And that happens, between siblings. Doesn't matter how old we are. So, however, I have found that if I can snap, tap, relax, and zap before I answer, before I make a decision, before I take charge of something, my inner wisdom will come through, and I will find better solutions that will work for me. So my mom's taking appointments, right? For the acupuncture, which is great, but she doesn't know my schedule. And then she calls me up. Okay, I need a ride at 10 this morning. Sorry, mom. I'm busy at 10, you know? Okay. So finally I said, can I have his number? I'll call him. How many appointments a week do you want? I'll make sure you have two people, two different people. Two of us are going to be giving her rides, one on Monday, me on Fridays, so that we can break it down and not be overloaded. No one's overloaded, but there's still somebody doing it. And it's giving ourselves that grace that, okay, I'm angry because this happened. I'm disappointed because she didn't even think to talk to me. There's many different emotions that we will have. And it's the faster we self regulate to
Oh,
release the hijack in our brain, that fear that they didn't love us enough. I don't know what the fears are. There's so many. Doesn't love me enough to call me first, or doesn't, the brain will tell you these stories that were true when you were a little kid, but they're not true anymore. So it's time to calm that down. And we know to snap, and if it's thoughts, go around the ears and release them.
I want to pop in and say the one thing that you said, and it started off, and this is why I keep going back to self-regulation.
Yeah.
You are the one in control, not for what you can do, not what you can even say,
Mhm.
just because it's you. And by allowing yourself to pause, and again, I say,
Yeah.
me.
Yes. To reconnect to you and your inner wisdom, not to the fears that are in your head that were there when you were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. You're an adult now. However, if you had major trauma when you were little, it is possible that your emotional brain, wasn't able to evolve. And that's when you need to call a professional, an EFT master practitioner, Talera practitioner, and get a bit of help, get some help to make it through that hurdle. I was working yesterday with a healer, and she says, oh my gosh, Christine, you know, I have the ability to communicate with your little self, or your little self is able to communicate to me and I can hear it, whichever way you want to say it. And what a beautiful gift that is, because then we can go right to the core of the issue. And we don't have to go through the thousands or hundreds of thousands of things that happened in between to have the issue solved. And that is mind blowing, even if I say so myself. To
No,
my
no,
heart, I
you
will be
know,
posting that video,
yeah,
that testimonial I got.
yeah. You, you, you demonstrate and apply exactly what we're talking about.
Mhm.
Just because we've had practice, me a couple of weeks, couple of years, doesn't mean we're not prone to or able to be shifted out of whack or out of alignment or to lose that. It's a fumble. Don't believe me? Look at how many mistakes each game will have. You have refs. Why are there refs in every sporting? Why are there arbitration in every setting? We understand. Oh,
Can I just pause there? That is a perfect example of how many perspectives my son played soccer. Okay. So you've got the one that's like, it went in, it didn't go in. The referee says it's null, whatever it is. And you're like, and there's all this kerfuffle happening. Well, in ourselves, these different parts, these different emotions, they're all different perspectives. And that's why, even if I've been self regulating for years, I still need someone from the outside to support me. Why? Because sometimes we don't want to see that perspective, right? Sometimes we
sometimes
don't
we
want to
can't.
see we can't.
Sometimes we can't.
We can't because there's a part of our brain that is protecting us. And we need support to feel safe enough to be able to allow that. And it needs to be done in a safe, loving environment.
And we
Okay.
talked about this. We talked about this the other time. I just want to mention that because we talk about perspectives. A
Mhm.
glass on one side and two people sitting side by side. They will not see. And again, the reflection, and they will both be right, and they can both be wrong, and the positions do not change.
Yes, because one can say it's half full, and the other one can say it's half full, it's half empty. So, how do you perceive things? And it is possible. It's not because I've been on my journey and working on myself that I don't need support as well. And I have people who support me on my journey because I have this deep inner desire to keep evolving and getting rid of all that junk that I carried for so long because it weighs me down. And I don't like to be weighed down. I want to live in joy. And that's why I keep releasing stuff so I can allow the joy in. And when it comes in, it's so yummy. But in that process, we need a lot of grief. And it's not that there's part of my feelings that are right or wrong, it's that they're exactly what they are. And trusting myself for what it is that I feel in that moment is so important because it is giving me a golden nugget of what it is that needs to be transcended, transmuted, taken out, released, whatever word you want to use, doesn't matter. Get it out of there. Bulldozer it out if you want. I had a client once, we were using the bulldozer to get stuff out of there. And they had a great time using the bulldozer. Imagination goes a long way. Yeah.
And I think that goes back to, and if you will, you can correct me because I have no clue about this, but the imagination is a bit of a free canvas, open, as in it's yours. You feel comfortable and you can imagine. So it's yourself allowing yourself to just think creatively, or just think and start understanding. But there is no judgment in regards to, there is no, well, I, I believe we shouldn't when it comes to creativeness or creativity, and some of those things that we suppress because our brains are wanting to protect. So
Yes.
these are things that can be, and you can do your research and look at it, how the brain protects from trauma,
Yes.
how the brain protects from certain aspects,
Yes.
and how it definitely energy wise. And again, going back to and say, and again, you don't have to believe me. You can get on a treadmill that's going above your normal step, just regular walking, at a faster speed than walking, and to a faster speed of running, and then start asking yourself questions and see, can you take the same amount of focus while you're running as you can while you're sitting calm and just non-motion. Because, and this is why I say the self-regulation is lovely for all aspects of life, because my 6 minute mile is a daily challenge. But I've learned that if I attempt to maintain my breathing in, deep out, as long as I can, because I am running 10 miles an hour, right? As much as I can to remain in control, I can push my body more comfortably and allow myself to be able to remain in that more composed. And yes, I do get tired, I do get winded and things like that, but that's where the challenge for me, we've talked about with wonderful Tony about climbing ladders and reaching the top and going, I got this. So I like to challenge myself when it comes to unconventional methods and unconventional solutions, and to
Right.
utilize, well, wait, I can breathe better. So
Yeah.
what does that mean when I'm eating? And this goes again. By me breathing, I go, I need water, because I stopped. And I'm going, breathing,
Yeah.
even when I'm eating. And I go, oh, your water. And yep,
Breathing when you are eating. Do you know why that is super important? Do you have an
no,
idea? My
no.
perspective is it is super important because otherwise, your how's your body going to send all the enzymes it needs to digest that food?
Mm,
So while you stop and breathe, your body can be sending the enzymes it needs to digest what you've just eaten. So that's why I think breathing while you're eating is super important. And I have another funny, I have, it's not funny, sorry. That's, I have this way of sometimes criticizing myself and I'm learning to catch myself. So I believe that when you eat, so that you don't dilute the digestive juices, you don't drink water during the meal or anything. You just eat and chew. So you can read up on that, see if it interests you, or just keep the habit that you have, and that's okay. We are all different and we all have different things. So if you're going through grief right now, please reach out for the right type of support for you. Thank you so much, Christian, for joining us today. It was
absolutely.
a pleasure to have the conversation with you. And on this note, thank you everyone for being here today. And I wish you the best from the bottom of my heart, and take care of you. What's one little thing you can do to create a little bit more joy in your family, especially if there has been some havoc? For example, me asking my mom, when I asked my mom for the phone number for the acupuncturist so I could plan with my schedule, she was happy that I would take on that responsibility, right? And I was happy. It brought us both joy. Joy doesn't need to be big and complicated. It can be those beautiful, small, simple things. They just add up. Went to get some bread. We have a new bakery in town. It's delicious. Gentleman waited, opened the door for me, let me in, and we have a blueberry and chocolate bread. Oh my goodness, it is so good. And as we chatted, I said, "Oh, I'll take that one." And he says, "Oh, that's what I usually get." Then I was doing, he says, "No, no, no, you go ahead, Christine, you enjoy." Well, that was a beautiful moment of joy for me. So it's recognizing and acknowledging those little mini moments. They're 5 seconds, 10 seconds, but they bring us joy. Soak that joy in. Have a great day, end of day. Take care of yourself, and I will see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. And if you need support, if you're ready for support and you want to create change, you want to create shifts, transformation in your life, use the QR code or email me at christine@christinebernard.com. Have a great day. Take great care of yourself.